Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikase Sukasa. And I'm your host, Niko House. We gonna have a conversation today. Oh yeah, we gonna talk. We gonna talk today. We got some things to clarify. And before we go into that, I think we need to clarify something else. There are a lot of people pretending, and okay, I won't say some are pretending. Some are pretending, others just don't know. I want to be clear about that. They just don't know. But they're giving you advice and giving you, or telling you why, oh no, Bernie has to be silent. It's the best strategy. They're telling you all this stuff about why he has to do this, he has to do that, and why. So let me, because a lot of you most of you are new to this channel over the last couple of months. So before I go into all of that, let me explain to you who I am. My name is Niko House. I was a founder of Carolina Students for Bernie Sanders. I joined his campaign in May of 2015 when Bernie Sanders optimistically had 2% with a 4% margin of error, and even amongst the most liberal voters had 5%. And that is without the establishment putting a gun or having a gun on him. They just weren't, nobody was paying attention to him because nobody thought he had a legitimate chance of winning. While I was president of Carolina Students for Bernie Sanders, we had the largest Bernie Sanders organization in the country. Not in North Carolina, not for a college or a university, but in the country. In addition to that, I was also president of North Carolina colleges for Bernie Sanders. What does that mean? I coordinated all of the colleges in North Carolina for Bernie Sanders. In addition to that, I was the acting state coordinator or state director for Bernie Sanders campaign. So I was the president and founder of Carolina Students for Bernie Sanders. Okay. I was acting director for the entire state. And I was the president of North Carolina colleges for Bernie Sanders. So now we got that out the way. In Chapel Hill, Orange County, in a couple of surrounding areas that we were active in, Bernie Sanders won those precincts. Those were some of the richest areas in North Carolina. And quite honestly, some of the whitest. Now, if you remember anything about the results of last election, his weakest demographics were middle-aged, rich, white people. We won in the South, in areas that he wasn't supposed to win in. So when I tell you I was there from inception, I wasn't just an activist waving my sign around. I wasn't just someone who jumped on the bandwagon. I was one of the people who saw the potential of Bernie Sanders, saw the good in his heart, and the fight that everyone fell in love with. I saw that when 98% of these people trying to make excuses, trying to justify in whatever way and rationalize in whatever way they can Bernie Sanders' silence on Assange as some type of strategy, all those people, they didn't come until later. I'm going to be clear about that. They came later. And even still, they were not part of any strategy. And last time I checked, none of them, literally zero of them, have ever had a private meeting with Bernie at any point in their lives. Okay, so let me just clear all that up. None of them have ever thrown a rally for Bernie Sanders. None of them have ran multiple organizations for Bernie Sanders in the South, no less. So, let me just clear all this stuff up, because I'm getting a little irritated with all these people trying to pretend to be the authority on what's good and what isn't for Bernie's campaign, and then attacking everyone who doesn't agree with them. It's getting old, and no. That's it. It's no. That it just doesn't make any rational sense. And I feel like I said, a lot of you are new to the channel. So I have to explain to you these things because some people are like, oh, maybe you're just upset with Bernie. No, that's not why. I mean, I'm irritated with him, but that's not primarily why I'm saying he needs to speak out on Assange. Let me be very clear about something. Not speaking out on Assange, which I'm sure plenty of you have noticed really quickly, could quite possibly be the what the hell was I thinking of Bernie Sanders' campaign. When he didn't endorse Hillary, I said, it's fine. Strategically, I get it. Do I like it? No, but I understand it. Strategically, if we're just talking about strategics right now, or strategies, strategics. Let me say that. Strategy. If we're talking about strategy, I understood it. Russiagate, I said it was not a good strategy because if a Hillary supporter is mad at you over Russiagate and over what you quote unquote did to Hillary in 2016, you pushing Russiagate isn't going to change anything. But whatever I said, at the end of the day, it isn't going to do that much damage to him, but he is going to start losing those Trump supporters who were firmly in his camp and then switched over to Trump. And then people who left Bernie in the middle of the Russiagate thing and then switch over to Trump just because eventually they just covered so much they turned Trump into a victim unnecessarily. But I said he'll still get through it. He'll still prosper because he's still fighting and he still has receipts. He did get through it, right? Because we saw he raised the money and all that good stuff, and all that's fine. That's great. That's great stuff. But this is not the same thing as those people. This is something completely different. And I guess there's this idea that this Assange situation isn't all that important to voters. I don't know who's perpetuating this idea, but he was the number one trending topic in the world yesterday. And you actually believe that this issue, if anyone's telling you this, that is the dumbest thing that they could tell you. You know, this issue just isn't really a big issue to voters. You do know that this issue is maybe 70% of the reason that a lot of people voted for Trump. And is also the reason that if any of us were paying attention, which I know a lot of you were, this is the same reason they just left Trump. Because of his, oh my God, it was embarrassing. He threw WikiLeaks and Julian Assange right under the bus. And guess where his followers went? Hey, y'all got some room on that Tulsi train? We just trying to find somebody who give a damn. Y'all got some room? I can share seats. We can lap up. Now, and it wasn't just the supporters. Oh, the pundits came with them. The pundits came with them. The same pundits who had people who were voting for Bernie. They were Trump supporters, but they were like, Bernie's better than Hillary. Those same people, okay? Let me go down a list of reasons why people have been, for some reason, convincing themselves that not speaking on Bernie Sanders is a smart strategy. It's morally wrong if you're not speaking on it. Let me just get that out of the way. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but you should be holding him accountable. If you don't hold your progressive candidate accountable, and I still consider him, even though I endorse Tulsi, I still consider him my candidate because I support him. I support 98% of the policies he pushes for. But if you don't hold them accountable, then who the hell is supposed to hold them accountable? You understand it. I don't know if you don't push your candidates left, who is going to do it? Because then if, like, for example, Tulsi supporters come in and start pushing him left, then you're upset because you're worried about his prospects of winning. But if everyone is pushing him left, then he's listening and he's going to change. That's kind of how it works. I mean, what? So let me be clear about something. This like I said, there's a few excuses. The first excuse: what about the mainstream? The mainstream media is going to smear him. They're so mean to Bernie. Oh my God. Y'all, question: were y'all present during 2016? Bad Mama Jam, appreciate the super chat. Truth tellers, turn up. Were y'all here in 2016, in 2015, in 2017, in 2018? Okay. Two questions. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. Bernie has capitulated to the lie that there was remember the lie, that the literal lie that happened where they said Assad had chemically bombed the Syrian rebels, or excuse me, no, not even the rebels, the people in his own city. And then it turned out to be a literal lie, according to Jim Mattis, who is a damn insane war criminal. He even says it was a lie. Granted, he was upset that he couldn't use that as an excuse to go into Syria. But Jim Mattis said there was no attack. But Bernie, before anything had even been decided to speak out ever so quickly about that. Did the establishment stop attacking him? Did they stop attacking him after he capitulated on Assad? I'm curious. No. Did he still get 1 million donations in like 2 months and have 1 million volunteers in like 2 weeks? Oh, okay. But they didn't, I'm just curious. They didn't, he said what they said. He said what they wanted him to say. He still hit the volunteers and he still got attacked. Okay, just making sure. So, the sanctions on Russia, which he ultimately voted for, and Russiagate in general, which he ultimately pushed, he said exactly what they wanted him to say. He did. They attacked him, as the mainstream always does. And he still raised $6 million in 24 hours. And he still hit 1 million volunteers in like 2 weeks, right? I'm just curious. Said exactly what they wanted him to say. Exactly what they wanted him to say. I repeat, Bernie said exactly what the establishment wanted him to say. They attacked him anyway, and yet look who came out on top as the Democratic frontrunner nonetheless. On another note, let's just ignore Bernie, right? The establishment told us that Hillary was it. Mainstream media said, that's it. Hillary's the one. 99% chance of winning. Trump doesn't stand a chance. Remember that? Y'all remember? I remember it because I was laughing. I had a good hearty chuckle. I had one of those good old fraternity laughs. I was like, everybody see these results? 99% chance of winning. Well, golly, they were off. Remember that? Hey, and it was Hillary that had 99% chance of winning. Who's our president again? Who's our president? Oh, Trump is. But mainstream, oh my God. You know what I just realized something? I just realized something. It's almost as if most of the country don't give a fuck about what the mainstream has to say. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it looks like. I mean, if we're gonna look at facts, right? If that is the weakest and most infuriating excuse. The same people who rightfully, by the way, say we can't trust their stories on Bernie Sanders. We know that the mainstream isn't reflecting what the people want, but blah, 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 blah. Rightfully so, are then going to turn around as an excuse to justify Bernie's silence on Assange by saying, well, hey, he's the front runner. He can't ruin it by saying something controversial. It's a, bruh. Oh my God, I'm asleep. Really? That is like the strongest. That's the strongest thing you can come up with, is that he's worried about what the mainstream media will say, and subsequently how people will react to what the mainstream media would say. That makes no sense. You're telling me he's worried about the CNN with the average viewership of 60-year-olds when the largest voting bloc is the millennials, and the largest voting bloc overwhelmingly supports, once again, Bernie Sanders. It's almost, once again, like the mainstream has no influence on whether or not someone with fucking common sense would support Bernie Sanders. I mean, am I wrong? I don't wish I was, because I don't like the mainstream. That's a good thing. We should be celebrating this. But the problem is, it's inconvenient. And when someone has emotionally invested themselves in the success of a person, not a movement, not progress, not democracy, but a person, then they start rationalizing things in ways that makes no logical sense. And these are the facts. So when I told you all from the beginning that we're going to be critiquing everybody I'm literally, from a business perspective, from a strategic business perspective, TYT has gotten, and by the way, they just gave, Cenk did, in his defense and to his credit, gave a fantastic interview of Tulsi, okay? And I'm going to be covering it. But other than that, and other than literally the guy, TYT has gotten 98% of the major issues in the world this year, or in the last 3 years, wrong. You're aware of this. TYT did. And even they were like, look, I know somebody signed a big check somewhere, but damn all that, we're not about to sink our network by not backing Julian Assange. Even Cenk was up at 6 a.m., like 5:45 a.m. Pacific time, and was, nah, y'all crazy. Julian Assange should not be arrested. This is a violation of international law. This is an attack on free speech. This is an attack on journalism. This is an attack on free. Listen, even TYT knew. TYT knew. Cenk got it right the first time. Unwavering support of Julian Assange. Really? Really? Why? Because it doesn't take a consultant or a marketing expert to see, maybe we should defend the guy who's in jail for exposing the corruption of all the governments of the world. And is literally, his arrest is actually violating international law. It doesn't take a genius to see that maybe we shouldn't be letting this happen. And at the very bare minimum, maybe it is bad strategy to remain silent on this and not have a quick and swift response. At the bare minimum, to defend free speech. At the bare minimum. Even they knew. And that's the home of Bernie. Like, they will do literally any and everything to protect Bernie's image. Doesn't matter. And they were like, can't get down with you on this one, Bernie. Can't be silent here. Now the other thing that they say, which is Bernie has to remain silent because he's the front runner. That's the that's my favorite. That is my favorite. I have a question. How does being the front runner in a presidential election work? I mean, because not only is he admittedly, like the CNN and MSNBC even admitted that this man is a front runner. Oh, so not only is he the front runner, but there's no one even close. Not even close to Bernie right now. I endorse Tulsi, and I know there's not anyone even close to Bernie Sanders right now. It's not 1 million volunteers is insane. 1 million donations in 2 months is insane. This is a whole different type of front runner. And so with all of that support, with all of that money, with all of these Twitter followers, with all of that, all of this mandate that he has, we use the excuse that he's a front runner for why he should remain silent on a pivotal issue. What kind of sense does that make? Hold up. Listen to this. Everybody, Bernie shouldn't talk about Medicare for all. The establishment doesn't like it. It's too divisive. Neither parties want to support it. They already think he's a socialist. If he wants Medicare for all, then they might not vote for him. Bruh. Really? You hear how stupid that sounds? And they're like, well, everybody loves Medicare for all. Well, let me explain something to you, genius. You know why everybody loves Medicare for all? In 2015, it had a 37% approval rating. By 2016, it had almost a 70% approval rating across the board. And why is that? Oh, that's right. Because Bernie Sanders literally made it popular. He made it the most popular policy in the country. And he wasn't even the front runner when he did that. But now that he's the front runner, you're like, oh no, we can't talk. We can't talk. We can't talk. Oh no, he's a front runner. What? He can't speak up because he's a front runner. Remind me again, how did he become the front runner? Oh, that's right. That's right. He became the front runner because he spoke up about literally everything that we had complaints about in 2015 and 2016. That's how he became the front runner. He was unapologetic in his convictions. He was willing to address issues of race. He was willing to address the Native American community. He was willing to call out the Democratic establishment on every issue, not just issues that were comfortable for them. Remember? That's why they loved him. That's how he became the front runner. Literally, that was how. I'm speaking from what I know. Like I said, I was there. I was there. That was why he spoke out. You're the front. He's a front. Do y'all know what front runner means? It means, oh yeah. Oh no. Because it's not only is he the front runner, but Kamala Harris supports Medicare for all. Elizabeth Warren supports Medicare for all. And the people who end up, if we find out they don't support it, or if they come out boldly against it, how long has their campaign last again? Oh yeah, so not only are you the front runner, but you are literally controlling the entire platform of the Democratic primary right now, and you can't speak because he's a front runner. Bruh. I'm at, I, is it, okay, so am I missing something? Because last time I checked, Bernie sends out a damn tweet and he's trending for 3 days. When you're the front runner for being bold on the issues, for being unwavering in your convictions, from speaking up when no one else would speak up, for standing up when no one else would stand up, that means you should keep doing it. You should keep doing it. That's how it works. Are you kidding me? Do you know? Let me explain to y'all something. Trump is a dumbass, but he know a little something about marketing. Whenever he says something stupid, he said some stupid stuff, but it polled well with some of the sycophants of his base. Guess what he did? He said no, but everybody's like, nobody else is saying it. He don't care. That's great for him because he's the front runner and he dictates the conversation for his party. His party has no control over itself as far as what the base wants. If they try to put anyone else up against Trump right now, they know that they will lose because Trump controls the conversation of his party, which is even when it's egregious and stupid. He knows I'm the front runner. I've had a shitty president, but I've been dictating the presidency, but I've been dictating the conversation for so long, it doesn't matter. Bernie has actually had a stellar record over the last couple of years voting with a few blemishes like the Russian sanctions. He's the front runner. He has 1 million volunteers who are not going anywhere and a bunch of independents who are questioning his convictions right now. And the people think the logical argument is, yeah, he's in the front, so let's stay quiet. Let's stay quiet about it. Bruh. It's bad if you like Bernie. It's bad strategy to defend him being silent. Because now I'm going to tell you how it's looking. And I know that this isn't all of you, of course. I know it isn't. But the excuses are starting to sound to people like Hillary excuses. And you're doing Bernie a disservice. If people... So let me explain something. 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, Tulsi went on to The View and she said something about Assad and Maduro specifically, that was verifiably untrue. She called Maduro a dictator. I did a 30-minute video critiquing her. And I'm sure that there are people in the comment sections who remember this. I did a 30-minute video. This is the woman that I endorsed. This is the woman that I support for president. I 30-minute video critiquing her. 30 minutes. When I had Tulsi Gabbard at my interview, I got a problem with the Council of Foreign Relations. And I think that everybody probably does and should have a problem with the Council of Foreign Relations. And of course, I took issue, but I was like, well, let me hear what she has to say about it, of course. But I still took issue with her being in the Council of Foreign Relations still, because I didn't know why. Do you think I said, hey guys, Fee, Craig, or Fee, Pasta, we can't ask her about the Council of Foreign Relations because that might hurt her chances of winning? No. We asked her, and she answered. I didn't like some of her comments on Israel and Palestine before, just like I didn't like Bernie's comments on Israel and Palestine in the past. So guess what we asked her? So what's up with your comments on Israel and Palestine, and how have you evolved in the issue? Yeah. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because things are going to get ugly. And if you don't know how politics works by now, and you may be a little new to this, and that's cool. If you're new to this, welcome to the shit show, I should say. So say welcome to the show. Now, welcome to the shit show. That's what politics is. If I support it, and I do support it actually still, which is why I'm doing this video. I support both Tulsi and Bernie. Now, I am personally voting for Tulsi for 2020, but I still support both of them. Trust me, if I didn't like Bernie, I would let his ass drown in the water. But I don't want that. We need him to be successful. Do you understand how ugly this is about to get, people? See, there is this fringe on the Bernie left right now, on the Bernie crack group, who are, like I said, hold up. Oh, who? What's going on, man? Shout out to Way of the Burn. One can hold their friend accountable and make them better without throwing said friend out the window. Most of us are trying to do the former. Keep up the good work. That exactly. Matter of fact, me and my friends, me and my clique, if you will, if you don't hold me accountable for something that you know I'm doing, it's stupid. Oh, we have problems. Our entire friendship is based off of accountability. Seriously, if you don't hold your friend accountable, you have bad friends, and you're a bad friend. So let me explain something. There's a sect of Bernie supporters who have also tried to, and this ties into why I made sure that I held Tulsi's feet to the fire. But they have this idea that Bernie is the only one that has a chance to win this election. And also, on top of that Tulsi cannot win. Well, first of all, I am a strong proponent of democracy. Even as I endorse Tulsi, which is probably why her and I get along so well at this point, it was objectively the right thing for me to do. And it worked out. And it's working out. Objectively, it was the right thing for me to do, because objectively, with the facts all laid out, in my opinion, it wasn't even close. But I still support Tulsi Gabbard. But like I said, there is a reason I started critiquing Tulsi. The sect of Bernie supporters that believes Tulsi has no chance of winning, because we're engaging in a democracy at the end of the day. And I will always tell people to vote who you think best represents what you believe to be true and righteous. You think that Tulsi doesn't have a chance of winning? I got some bad news for you, people. Once again, and just in case you're just now joining the chat, let me reiterate. My name is Niko House, former president of Carolina Students for Bernie Sanders, the largest Bernie Sanders organization, or was, 2016, the largest Bernie Sanders organization in the country, former president of North Carolina Colleges for Bernie Sanders, former acting state director for the Bernie Sanders campaign, North Carolina. That's who I am. So if you have somebody who wants to come and question my credentials and why I'm saying the things I'm saying, they're more than willing to come onto the show and question me and challenge me about their infinite knowledge about something they've never been a part of. I was there in May of 2015 when Bernie had a 2% chance of winning. I was there in May of 2015 when Hillary supporters, and these weren't even the staunch ones. These are the ones who were Hillary supporters before they jumped ship over to that Bernie train, to the Bernie bus. Had a Tulsi train, the Bernie bus. That was a Bernie bus back then. I was there. I was there whenever they kept creating those those narratives, well, Bernie doesn't really have a chance of winning. Socialism isn't really that popular in this country. Nobody really wants Medicare for all. I mean, what demographic is Bernie really going to get? Can Bernie really win the young vote? I mean, but Obama likes Hillary. Hillary has the most experience. All these things sound familiar. Well, Bernie's going to split the vote. But Bernie can't, he has too many enemies. The mainstream doesn't like him. He's not polling high enough. Well, shouldn't we do whatever we can to get the Republicans out? I heard it all before. That's how I know how this game goes. And I already know how this story ends. Except for, it isn't only because of Bernie's campaign I know how this story ends. I was paying attention to the Republicans too. And there is one person that has something in common with both Bernie and Trump. And that is Tulsi Gabbard. See, they lied about both Trump and Bernie in the beginning of 2015. Why? Because both Trump and Bernie were outside of the establishment. Now, with Bernie, what was crazy is that he wasn't polling high, and that was without the establishment gunning for him, which means that the polls weren't specifically created at that time. In the very first poll I saw was not created specifically to undermine him. It was just literally no one necessarily knew who he was. But they did know this. They did know if he got attention that he would be way too popular. And he did get attention. Now, when he went into the debates, he was still only at like 9%. And guess what happened? Guess what happened after that first debate? They said he was at 9%. And then when he left that debate, his name was the most searched name in the entire country for days. The most searched Google topic, not just the name, the most searched Google topic in the entire country, Bernie Sanders' name was, after one debate, one. With most of the country still not tuned into politics. That was one debate. Same thing happened to Trump. Trump had the name recognition, but people didn't take him seriously. Then he started throwing blows. And he looked like a fighter for the right. And looked like he was outside of the establishment for the right. Now, they were telling us the same thing. Trump has no chance of winning. He has no chance of winning. And then that first primary state popped up. And guess what both Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump did? They beat the odds. So, these polls that y'all are relying on to determine whether or not Tulsi has this, a strong support or a lack of support or blah, 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 not really a smart idea to do that. If you think that trying to demean Tulsi's campaign is going to boost Bernie's campaign, don't do that strategy because you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. You're going to shoot yourself in the fucking foot, and here's why. The entire establishment is gunning for Tulsi, and the polls that you're relying on to say that she has no chance of winning, those polls, the ones that are only asking people who are 50 and older, the same polls that had Joe Biden in first place, those same polls. Yeah, those polls aren't right. They're wrong. If the polls were right, she wouldn't have even been able to hit 65,000 donations. 2 days ago? She wouldn't have been able to hit it. I'm just letting you know, she wouldn't have been able to hit it. And they know this because their actions, their behavior, as far as Tulsi's, the awareness of Tulsi, I should say, or them including Tulsi in these shows, are opposite of what they're saying in the polls. Now, they're trying to tell you in the polls, no one likes Tulsi. No one knows about Tulsi. People aren't aware of who Tulsi Gabbard is. Then why do y'all keep having her on the shows? Why do you keep bringing her on? Why do you keep talking about her? Why is she so important? Why is she always the topic of discussion? Why is she always the topic of discussion when it's time to insult somebody? Oh, wait a minute. That sounds really familiar. Because first they silenced Bernie also, and then they went to town on Bernie because he became a threat. He became a threat. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bethlehem. Appreciate that. He became a threat, and they were still saying that he wasn't a threat. Do y'all not remember this? Once again, I was there for all of 2015. They were saying simultaneously, he is not a threat. And then when they realized they couldn't silence him because of his overwhelming presence, they kept thrashing him as much as they possibly could. But here's the thing. This is where the Trump part comes in. Tulsi's more controversial than Bernie is. And I got some bad news for people. I really do. And I'm trying to keep it real with people because I support Bernie and I don't want you all shooting yourselves in the foot when the chickens come home to roost. And they will. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you what I know. Bernie has not once spoken of Tulsi's bill, the OFF Act. Off fossil fuels by 2035, which by most environmentalist measurements is the most aggressive environmentalist bill that's been introduced by anybody. Yeah, he hasn't spoken about that. Also, remember, because Bernie was touting the Russiagate, election fraud, election rigging. Oh my God, Republicans and it's a shame what they're doing. Well, Tulsi had a solution for that too, and has one. The Securing America's Elections Act. While everybody else was bitching about Russiagate, Tulsi was making sure that no one could actually hack our elections. And sad to say, Bernie was silent on that too. And also, if you think that Bernie, because y'all were literally, some people were getting off with that half-assed disingenuous, well, I just take some issue with Bernie's past. I mean, with Tulsi's past. She just has some really problematic stances. And I really feel like, thanks Carmen for the super chat. And I just really feel that, she'll be a good VP because of her past. But Bernie, he's just better right now for domestic policy because he's been solid for 40 years. See, once again, I was a person who actually cared about Bernie getting elected in 2015. So I did my research. The difference between Tulsi and Bernie, which is a connection that people still have not met. Why do you think his followers at this point are, some of them, I ain't gonna say all of them, there's a sect. They're so unwaveringly supportive. Why do you think that is? What did you all know about Bernie Sanders when we first learned about him? Oh man, he voted against the war in Iraq. Cool. That's dope. Medicare for all. Awesome. Public college. Nice. Right on racial issues. Dope. That's amazing. He's a perfect candidate. He's perfect. He's been perfect for 40 years. That's what we were told. I don't believe anybody's perfect. And when I adore somebody, y'all know my motto. If I love you, I got to research to figure out how you're going to break my heart. Now, they couldn't attack Bernie on this because all the things that they would have been able to attack Bernie on, well, you can attack Hillary on the same thing. Because Bernie voted for the crime bill. The war on black people. He voted for the war in Afghanistan. He voted to engage with Kosovo. Just recently, he voted for sanctions in Russia. He's voted for a lot of policies that propped up the military-industrial complex. He had some pretty bad Zionist rhetoric. He also voted in favor of bombing Gaza in support of Israel. And quite honestly, those are just a few things. Now, like I said, this is why I keep telling you all, your excuse for Bernie should stop defending, or Bernie should still stay silent on Assange to play the game. Oh, no. You don't want to play that game because now it's going to be a game of chess, and Tulsi doesn't play games. If you haven't noticed, and once again, that whole the machismo facade that Trump put on, like she's going to take on everybody, he's going to take on everybody. The world is catching on that Tulsi, that's actually her. I don't know if y'all remember this. Tulsi is the one who, when Donald Trump started celebrating Saudi Arabia, came out on Twitter and said Donald Trump was Saudi Arabia's whole bitch. Not B ampersand TCH, not B ampersand. No, it was I didn't know putting America's first was being Saudi Arabia's bitch. That was Tulsi. So when I tell you she's not playing the games, and there are real political strategic implications of that, like, I don't know, most of Trump's fan base jumping off the wagon and jumping on the Tulsi's train yesterday, and not just his fans, but the journalists that have been sycophantically obsessed with Trump for years jumped ship yesterday and are bringing their supporters and their subscribers with them to the Tulsi train. They lapping up. Now, once again, like I said, I'm not irrational, nor am I unreasonable. I understand that Bernie has grown from his experiences for the most part. That's why you don't hear me bringing up stupid stuff. But, like I said, because these people were obsessed and enamored with Bernie the person, which is completely antithetical to everything he has stood for, every reason this revolution has been a success thus far, they have convinced themselves that Bernie is somehow perfect. And he's not. And if you're going to try and disingenuously malign Tulsi and her supporters to boost Bernie, you are going to fuck him. Because the information, these people, the more aggressive Tulsi supporters will be dropping bombs that a lot of you didn't know existed. Because that's what everybody wanted to say, right? They wanted to say, Tulsi has a past. Tulsi said some things that her dad told her to say at 21 years old. Tulsi visited Assad along with the opposition because she's on the Council of Foreign Affairs. I think that's what you're supposed to be doing. But that's what they say. They were jumping right in because they saw it as an opportunity to make sure that they could pacify the only real competition that Bernie would have. And they think that this is going to help them. Oh, y'all must not have been paying attention. Well, first of all, at that video that I spoke at Tulsi's rally, that was about 450 plus. Do you know how much notice that crowd had? 450 people. Do you know how much notice that crowd had? They had 12 hours. They had a 12-hour notice that she was coming. Do you know how much notice they had about the venue? Even less. There was a venue change last minute, and it didn't matter. See, what they're also not talking about, once again, is the fact that Tulsi's crowds, for her to be at 1% or 2% in the polls, are bigger than everyone else's crowds except for Bernie Sanders. So this strategy of trying to bring down Tulsi, thinking, or in specifically in the context of Julian Assange, this strategy of trying to bring down Tulsi. Oh, Tulsi can speak because she doesn't have anything to lose. And first of all, let me just as an aside, don't say that shit ever again in your life. Tulsi gave up a presidency. You all, for some reason, some people don't get that. She was next in line to be the president after Hillary Clinton got elected. And when she had a chance and she had everything to lose, she left the vice chair position to support Bernie and lost everything to have to regain it all again by doing the right thing. This woman spoke at the Democratic National Convention for Obama, in case y'all didn't know. This woman was a vice chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, in case you didn't know. And it's spoken at every committee, or every convention actually, even for Bernie, since being elected, because she was the promised one. And she gave all of it up. But no, she had nothing to lose. And she didn't stop fighting. Actually, she doubled down on the fight. So stop saying she had nothing to lose and that she has nothing to lose. That's old. I'm done with that. Okay? That's dead. But I digress. My point is that in the context of Julian Assange specifically, you can't try and bring down Tulsi because she spoke out quick to uplift Bernie. Because if you do, well, people are going to go look at her comments. And people are going to be reminded why they originally voted for Bernie. The Ilhan Omar stuff should still not distract us from Julian Assange. They're both important. Yeah, actually, I agree. First of all, Trump is a fucking bastard for what he did. He just put a target on Ilhan Omar's back. He's a fucking bastard. That shit, I don't want to talk about it at this point. I'm going to cover it tomorrow because I have to calm down before I cover it. It is a distraction. And it's actually a distraction because Trump shit the bed on Assange, and he knows it. And he lost so many subscribers, or excuse me, so many followers, so many of his loyal base yesterday that he's trying to make up for it. That's what he's doing. So even Trump knows that was a bad move. But you can't think that that's a smart idea. Because you're like, it's the cognitive dissonance is real. Do you understand how much support she's gotten in 24 hours, bruh? She hit her donation mark and was the only candidate, other than Mike Gravel, who's actually not trying to win. I mean, the candidates that are trying to win, she's the only candidate who came out and spoke and said everything right. And it's working. Why? Because people want to fight her. So when she hits that debate stage, it's going to be some shit. It's going to be contentious. And instead of trying to drag down Tulsi to defend Bernie, just like we, the ones who are supporters of the movement above all else, whenever people try and malign Bernie and smear him illegitimately, we step in. Because it does no one any good to smear and mischaracterize an ally. Look, somebody tried to tell me today, talk to me about unity. And I was like, oh, unity, right? Okay, so unity, right? We're in this together, because that's what they said. Tulsi wouldn't appreciate this. We're in this together. And I said, and this is I want to use this as a point. I say, oh, Unity, can you show me the tweet where you defended the literal lies against Tulsi that were being perpetuated for 2 months, and even some Bernie supporters were using them as the excuse to relegate her solely as VP or to write her off completely? Show me the tweet where you defended her. Most people, well, I'll say most, a lot couldn't and can't. We are supposed to be a team. And for anybody who thinks I give any type of special coverage, go look at how many videos I've done of both Tulsi and Bernie. Since I've endorsed Tulsi, go look at how many videos I've done. They've gotten damn near even coverage, and I would even venture to say that Bernie has gotten more coverage recently. Because when he's doing something great, I applaud it. Just like when Tulsi's doing something great, I applaud it. Just like when Bernie is doing something that is worth critiquing, I will absolutely critique and hold him accountable. Just like I did the same for Tulsi Gabbard. Why? Because if we don't tell our candidates what the people are saying, because the candidates are being inundated with lies from the mainstream, then they're never going to know. If you're saying, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't critique him, don't critique him, don't critique him. Nah, that's not going to work, because then they're going to double down. And the people who aren't in your mentions, the people who aren't tagging you on Facebook or commenting on every video or commenting on every comment section, there are more of those watching. They're watching your behavior. They're watching Bernie's. They're watching and the independents who hadn't made up their mind, may have been open again to voting for Bernie. They're watching. And they're seeing people say, don't hold him accountable. What about Medicare for all? What about that? What about Medicare for all, people? That's and they're watching a man, like literally. Do you know what Bernie supporters are saying? Which is, once again, part of the shittiest strategy in the history of his campaigns. Well, Medicare for all is super important. You're asking people to advocate for Bernie being silent. You want to sacrifice a man, basically, so we can get Medicare for all. Holy shit. You can't say things like that. You don't know how wild that sounds to someone looking from a distance, who isn't emotionally driven to support Bernie, but driven by logic and policy and conviction, who was attracted to him initially because of his willingness and ability to fight against the establishment. And your argument, the best, because that's the main one, that's the best argument you could come up with, is Assange, he'll be all right. We need Medicare for all. Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're asking people to be okay with sacrificing a man for a policy just because it might benefit you. But here's the issue. Now, I do believe that Bernie, if he won, would get in office and fight for Medicare for all. I truly believe that. But once again, here's the issue. Other people who are watching won't believe it, because if it's become a pattern now. Okay, he's building up. Wow, policies, good stuff, good policies, good policies. And then a major event happens where he should be taking a definitive side and he gets it wrong. And here, not only did he not take a definitive side yet, thanks for the super chat, Carl Nash. Not only did he not take a definitive side, but he stayed completely silent. And the excuse is because of the mainstream's critiques of him. And they're going to say, well, the mainstream is going to critique him when he gets in office, and they're going to critique him as he's trying to pass his legislation, and they're going to say that everything is his fault when something doesn't get passed, and they're going to say, and it's probably not even accurate, but this is what reality looks like. I'm trying to tell you what I know, people. This is my life. This is all I do. I'm trying to tell you what I know. I look for the patterns, and I see why people are saying the things they do. They're going to say, well, didn't Obama promise? This is how Obamacare started, isn't it? You think I'm lying? They're going to say this is how Obamacare started. It was universal health care. That was it. No insurance companies were supposed to be involved. And then it was, we'll have a public option or a private option. And then it was, you'll be able to keep your doctor. And then now look at what it is. Because he wanted to appease, and he was worried about his legacy and how people would see him and how he would be portrayed. Bernie is not Obama. You and I are aware of this. The people looking from the outside, who are only casual observers, who are looking out for their best interests, the ones who have decided, you know what, maybe it's time to get involved because this guy looks like a fighter. Those people, they're going to be a little bit uncomfortable with campaigning for a guy because he's a fighter when he's having now a consistent pattern of not fighting when it matters the most. You don't have to hate Bernie to see this. You don't have to be a Tulsi supporter to see this. In fact, a Bernie supporter more than anyone should see this, because we fell in love with his revolution because of the fighter. He's not the first one to introduce universal health care, in case you didn't know. He's not the first one to preach against the war in Iraq, in case you didn't know. He's not the first guy to be right on these issues. But he was the one that we trusted to fight and consistently stand up to the establishment on these issues. And people are getting the sense that he won't do it anymore because he's worried about what it will look like and what legacy he'll leave. It's probably not true, but perception is more important than reality when we're talking about electoral politics, which is why Trump's the president. They thought he was a fighter. They thought he was anti-establishment. This is facts. I don't want Bernie to lose, or I don't want him to shit the bed in the primary, because Tulsi nor Bernie wins at that point. They need each other. People forget this. Y'all try to shit on Tulsi. Okay, let Tulsi get 1% at the convention and see how many delegates that Bernie gets, and see if he gets 50%, and vice versa. Let Bernie shit the bed during the primaries and not get enough delegates, and if Tulsi's winning, and she won't get 50%, and then it goes to the second round, and then we're all screwed. Think logically. If we don't hold our candidates accountable, best believe the reality of the world is someone else will. Someone else will. And it won't be an ally. And it will be much more malicious and maligning, and it won't benefit anybody. At least when we critique our candidates, they know it's coming from a place of respect. They know it's coming from a place of expectation for someone who has been right for the most part on all the issues. They know it's coming from someone who put money and time and effort into their campaigns. So they're like, these are the people who are on the ground. If they're telling me this, maybe we should be paying attention. I know because I've seen Bernie move left. He moved left on Venezuela right in front of our eyes. I don't know if y'all caught it, but he did. I saw Tulsi correct herself. We've been, I don't know if y'all know this, but we pushed Bernie left on a lot of issues the last election, because Israel-Palestine he was not good on, and we pushed him left there. We tweeted him, we added him, we said, yo, listen, you got to talk about this. You got to call out Netanyahu. You can't be silent on this. And guess what happened? He started calling out Netanyahu. You have the power. What's that damn slogan that is so popular? Oh yeah, not me, us. Like, I don't know if I listen to Bernie. I listen to Bernie there's certain things that I listen to him when he said it. When he says not me, us, because I've been at plenty of his rallies, he means that. And when he said, if I tell you who to vote for, don't listen to me. He meant that too. Because even Bernie recognizes sometimes, okay, maybe I'm not getting it 100% right, so I have to trust this revolution that we built together and trust the people. And he moves left when pushed there. Not when we say, but mainstream might smear him. Yes, because mainstream has been reflective of every election in the last 3 years. They've reported so accurately on people's positions in the polls. I mean, they're like they've been like 100% right? Yeah, no, they haven't. You know who's controlled the conversation for the last 3 years? Bernie has. Bernie. He has the power. He has the control, and he has a platform and a microphone that no one else has. Strategically, it is more wise to hold your own accountable than to try and deflect and defend because somehow your emotions and you're getting riled up. No, if I attack him, then if I critique him, then it's attacking him, and I don't want him to think I'm no. You're doing things wrong because not everybody is as emotionally invested in the person as you are. And this is coming from someone who is emotionally invested in Bernie Sanders' success, because I was part of it. I was part of it. I was part of this revolution that we started. I was there in the inception of it. So I'm still emotionally invested in his success, but I'm also one of logic. And I also kind of want to win, at least one of them to win. And if Bernie shits the bed, once again, Tulsi doesn't win because she's not getting the delegates by herself, and vice versa. Hey, it's Ali. Bernie cannot be scared. He needs to realize that he has the power to actually start a revolution in this country. He would kill it outside of the party. So he actually could not kill it outside of the party. Tim Canova's election showed that they cheat. These machines. If he endorsed Tulsi securing America's Elections Act, he might be able to. But these machines, he can't. He can't win outside of the party yet. He can't do it yet. But he could win in the party. If you tell him to be silent, you are going to see. You're going to see. It may not look, because Bernie was really bad with Syria as well before. I know. That's what I'm saying. All this stuff is going to come back. It comes back, bruh. The difference between, I'm trying to help y'all, because at this point, I'm just trying to help y'all understand, some of the things that people aren't really paying attention to. One of the main differences between Bernie and Tulsi right now is that, so the similarities are overwhelming in a lot of ways. But the main difference is the establishment was so terrified of Tulsi, they overplayed their hand way too early in hopes that it would keep her off the debate stage. It didn't work. And now she has nowhere to go but up. If you saw her TYT interview and you looked at the comment section, you might need to watch that video. You might need to watch it. If you haven't been on Twitter, if you haven't seen her videos, if you haven't seen the comments, you might need to watch. Because the tide is turning right underneath your nose. But if you lock yourself in an echo chamber, then you won't catch it. That's why you have to, we need both of them there. And we can't win without both of them there till the very end. Because at the end of the day, like you all say, if you use your own logic, the establishment is going to try everything to cheat Bernie. Yeah, we agree. So stop putting him in a position that would handicap him by the time he gets to the convention. Elevate him by living by the same principles that he established in 2015. And that is how he will maintain his celebrityhood. It's literally, oh my God, I can't even, it's so simple. I don't know how to, this is simple. We can't overcomplicate this. And I want to address this, because I just glanced over and saw this before we go. This whole Bernie will pardon Assange one day. That sounds great. It does. Except for Assange is going to be tortured tomorrow. And the moment that they think either Bernie or Tulsi is going to take office, Assange will almost certainly be suicided. Because you're forgetting, this has nothing to do with 2016. This is revenge from the neoconservatives that he exposed. Like Bolton, who is currently in power. Hey, Niko, it's Teresa. I'm curious on your thoughts on Jill Stein's comments about Tulsi and the Green Party. I haven't checked it out. Somebody sent me a video of it, and I'm going to check it out, and I will comment later. So yeah, it's hold on, I gotta go. Got. Thanks for the super chat. I just got thrown off my train of thought though. Oh yeah, he's gonna get. He might be suicided before. Because I mean, I was in the military, and anything doing with the government, you're guilty until proven innocent, and God forbid, it's political, because you're just guilty. And that means you have something that we want. And you may not ever see the light of day again. Every single corrupt government in the world wants a piece of Assange, and you think he's going to make it to Bernie Sanders or Tulsi getting elected? No, Bernie actually has the ability to influence the court of public opinion right now. The British embassy in DC would be filled with people if Bernie gave the word and put out one email blast. He has that type of clout. We can't say Bernie's the only one who can win and then simultaneously say, but if he does the right thing, he'll lose. It makes no sense. He's got here by doing the right thing. He got here by doing the right thing. I know it sounds crazy, but Trump is proof that no one votes for or against, I should say. No one votes for somebody because of what they fear from the other person. At least not the majority. Or Trump wouldn't have won. They vote based off of what they believe they can gain. Because that's how we live our lives. We don't make decisions based off of negative consequences. Let's be honest, because a lot of us have done some stupid stuff, and we're like, man, this might get us in trouble, but we do it anyway. Why? Because we make the decision based off of something positive that we can potentially gain. Speaking out on Julian Assange would mean that everyone who believes Bernie is a fighter would be validated. That's a reason to vote. Staying silent and then saying, well, we're more scared of Trump, that's not going to get them to vote for you. It's not going to galvanize them. They're like, okay, he's silent, and yeah, Trump sucks, but if he's not going to stand up to anybody, then how is my life going to change? That's how people feel. That's just human nature. So, yeah, I hope y'all, learn something new today. At least learn something new about myself. I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. It's a moral thing, but like strategically, it is a bad strategy. Real talk. I'm sure he's going to speak out. I'm keeping hope alive. But nonetheless, oh man, he should have spoken out yesterday. He can't keep doing this, or it's going to be problematic for his campaign. And some people, it's going to turn into a shit show, and it's unnecessary because his people are getting so defensive that they're coming at the wrong people now. The people who have made their decisions based off of logic because they have had all the evidence presented to them and they know how to use it and are ready and willing when necessary. And we don't need that, which is why we should be holding both candidates accountable at every step of the way. I don't know. Maybe I'm too naive, I guess. But I did predict Trump winning. I did predict Bernie's come up by the way. I also predicted that he was going to run again. And I explained to people exactly what was happening. I also predicted that Trump was going to start plummeting. I also predicted Bernie would be the front runner in a couple of weeks. And I also predicted that Tulsi's about to have some momentum and a wave that opportunists will jump on because it is the quote-unquote shiny new toy. Tulsi Gabbard's Buzz Lightyear right now. And it will bring problems if we're not consistent in our conviction. I don't want anyone attacking anybody. I don't mind, and I firmly encourage people to criticize and hold accountable. Nothing wrong with that. So with that being said, people, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.